Yeah.
There we go. Is this on? All right, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Gary Foster has some vacation.
Well, this is the first day of school, so this is kind of a different prayer. The first school is the first step in a great adventure. Today is the first page of a new book. Make it a good story. Small steps towards big dreams start today. Amen.
Oh, please join me in the four-way test. That's over here by the door. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? All right, everyone, welcome to Rotary. Happy Monday. I hope everybody's having a great first day of school, and everybody that has either kids or grandkids going to school got off with no problems. And I think it's awesome that we have Wes as our speaker on the first day of school. He probably has a lot of other things going on in his brain today, but also it was exciting to be on the bike path this morning and have it be about 50 degrees as I was walking. So it was a great welcome for this season. I know we normally talk about Boo Bash. I don't see Heather here, so we're still looking for those final sponsorships for the Boo Bash. As we get into September here, we're going to start focusing on auction items. So if you have auction items, especially live auction items that will go great for the Boo Bash, talk to Paul Homer. I know Paul's on vacation for a little bit, but we'll get in touch with Paul and so we can have a good Boo Bash this year. And also a reminder, next Monday is Memorial Day, or not Memorial Day, Labor Day. So we will not have a Rotary next Monday, but we will the following Monday. We'll come back. The other thing is all of our board members, reminder that Saturday the 6th, we're going to have a board retreat 9 to noonish at the Sawmill Museum. So I'll send out a reminder with an agenda later this week. Okay, with that, I think that's all of our announcements. Does anybody have any announcements from the floor? Well, I'll call up Rich with the fellowship.
Okay, welcome everybody. We will start off with guests. Is that still over there? The guest list? Sorry. Okay, it looks like we have our lovely Seattle guest with us again. Welcome. And Carrie has a guest.
Well, Carrie's not here, so I'll introduce Nick. Nick is with Mel Foster, and he's looking for a club to join. So everybody be really nice to Nick and let him know that we are fun here so that he joins our club.
Okay, welcome to Rotary, everybody. Okay, we're going to do, let's see, birthdays. We have one birthday, Val Hill, on August 30th. I think she turns 30 on the 30th. So happy birthday to Val. And no anniversaries this week. So we'll get right into today's trivia. So last week was college football trivia in general. But this week, the real college football starts because Iowa starts this week. Iowa State had their time to shine last week. Now it's Iowa's turn. So Iowa football trivia. We're going to start in the back. Dennis, I normally throw in some Nebraska to give you some trouble. I'm going to give you a break today, okay? At some point, it just feels like bullying. So, all right. So, how many teams will Iowa play this season that were in the playoffs last season? college football playoffs. He's correct. Very good. All at home. All right, Doug, your table over here. I think I do this every year, but there are two numbers in Iowa football that are retired. Who are they? And what numbers are they?
Val Kinnick would be one, but I don't think we were.
Niall Kinnick, any idea what number he was? 24. There's one other one.
Is it Kenny Plain?
Nope. Any other guesses on the other retired number? Nope. Cal Jones, number 62. So you won't see any 24 or 62 on the field for Iowa. All right. Middle table here. Let's see. How many seasons has Kirk Ferentz been the head coach at Iowa?
You think it's 35?
No, not 35. So he's entering his 27th season as head coach at Iowa. I'm gonna throw you a follow-up question. He coached at one other college. What college was that? Head coach. Was it your turn?
Maine. The College of Maine.
How many seasons? Braden? 3. All right, Dale, your table. Let's see. I have more questions than I have tables here. So I'll try to give you an easy one. Who's the field named after inside of Kinnick Stadium? Duke Slater. It's Duke Slater Field. So quick little tidbit on Duke Slater Field. Obviously Duke Slater from Clinton. Just this year, so the emblem was on the 25-yard line, both 25-yard lines, starting in 2021. Well, starting this year, they're moving the emblem to the end zone because the NCAA is allowing corporate logos on the 25-yard lines now. So more money grabs with college sports here going on. So yeah, to the end zone.
What
Yeah.
what logo are they gonna have?
I don't know. I guess we'll find out. So, all right. Have a great week. Thank you.
Oh, and with that, I'm going to call up Wes Golden. He's going to tell us about the school district and the construction at Clinton High School.
I've got a few more things to talk about than just Clinton High School. But I also want to leave time to answer any questions that you might have. So thanks for letting me be a part of the conversation. I always appreciate when we as a public school can share our story and answer questions that folks might have. So what I want to share is a little bit about how we got to where we are. And I think this is a really important topic that I share every time I speak with folks. This is the school board's mission statement, and I didn't create it. The board did many years ago, and I really appreciate it. It's the mission of the Clinton Community School District to educate all students, and I want to highlight all students to their highest level of achievement. And I break this down into like 3 components when I speak with people, because all of our students have special gifts. And how do we help them really bring those special gifts out and help them become the best version of themselves that they possibly can? We do that through an engaging curriculum. As you'll notice, we try to be innovative. Our world has changed. How most of us learned years ago, even as far back as 10, that doesn't seem like a long time ago, but the educational systems have changed. What kids' needs have changed. What will prepare them for their future has changed. So how do we engage them is super critical, because far often now today, when I was a kid and I grew up in the 1980s, and when I say my formative years, that's when I was in high school, all you needed to be was compliant. Compliance is what got you through school. Kids don't see compliance as a thing these days. Now, when I don't mean that in a negative way, they want to know what they're going to get out of this. When you ask a student to pay attention, we're asking to provide them. They need to provide us with a currency in order for them to learn. When it's quite the opposite. So that engaging curriculum is really critical to prepare them for their future. And for me as a father, this is the most important, is that last line is in a caring community. My youngest started her freshman year at UNI today. My two children are far different from each other. My oldest is very outgoing, very social, ready to engage anyone at any time. My youngest is more like me and not willing to talk to a whole lot of people and hide as much as possible. So it's been for me an interesting day as dad to make sure that Leon gets to class and feels safe and welcomed. So, but as a parent, I'll tell you, all I care about for our staff and faculty is that they care about kids. That doesn't mean coddle them. There's a difference. But as a dad, that's all I want people to do is care about my kid. You're going to teach them. You're going to do the right things. You're going to do what you need to do. And I really appreciate the Clinton Schools Board of Directors. They've helped narrow down our focus. Prior to this year, we've had somewhere in the area of 18 to 19 goals that we've had to kind of go after, and that's a lot. So we want you to focus on student achievement. That's why we're here. The work environment that folks, live and breathe in, and district finances, making sure that we're being good stewards of taxpayer money. Having said that, then what we as an administrative team have developed is our vision statement. We did this a year and a half ago to be future ready. We used to use the phrase college and career ready. Far fewer kids are going to college these days because they can get a great paying job, not having to go to college, but going to trade school, tech school, through the military, apprenticeship trainings. But how do we find those places for each kid? How do we help them see their future, whatever that is? And when I say empower all, I particularly mean all means all. All means parents, all means our community, all means our teachers, all means our students, because we can't do this by ourselves. This is a critical concept, is that students' education is everybody's responsibility. Now, I know they come to us and we are the ones that help facilitate that, but we can't do our job without parents. We can't do our job without our community supporting us and so on. And at the end of the day, we want them to be ready for their future, that they can walk into a business after they graduate and have the tools in their toolkit to be successful. So that's very important to us. Now, the values that we try to follow in meeting this vision is that all are welcome, connected, and safe. That's critical. Maslow's hierarchy of needs tells us that in order to learn, you have to feel safe. So how do we make sure that happens? That all stakeholders are relentlessly committed to high expectations. That's something that I'm very passionate about, is that I have high expectations of myself. Therefore, I have probably high expectations of the people around me. And I think you probably noticed that the two people who presented the last 2 weeks prior to me, they too have very high expectations. So this is how we move ourselves forward and empower all learners to engage in a rigorous educational pathway. So our decisions that we make, does it satisfy one of these three things? Does it satisfy all three of these things? Because if it doesn't satisfy any of these, then why are we doing it? Why are we doing it? Because there's so much to do. And if we add other things to our plate, it just causes mediocrity. So high school, that's always on people's minds. If you've driven past Clinton High, it probably kind of looks like a destruction zone, as it always has for the last like 5 years. So what I want to do is let you know where we're at. I've got a few graphics and a few pictures. If you've been by, you know what we're talking about. You'll see on the left-hand side in red, the academic wing was done. That's been there for about 2 years now. In the back where you see the Performing Arts Center, that's the Durgan Performing Arts Center. It's in blue. You have the shops building on the left and the arts on the right, the performing arts. That's our band, orchestra, and choir rooms are over on the right. The far right in gray, that building still exists. That's your gym, plus our wellness gym and our pool. What they're currently working on is that center section in green is our current uh, commons or our kitchen area. That's going to change a little bit, but that more brownish area and the purple area in the front where it says administration, and then over on the right hand side where it says art, that's currently what they're working on. So that center section. There will be parking in front of the building. That hasn't happened since before the building burnt down, and long time ago. You're there. So it's been a long time since we've been able to have some parking in front of the building. But you'll see in the back of the building, that parking lot, they had just finished the top coat in the back. You'll actually be able to drive all the way around Clinton High School. Never had been able to do that, at least in my lifetime, that's not been possible. So that's just another picture of it. Same colors or close to the same colors. You can kind of see a graphic depiction. So we're working on that yellow, the kitchen area, the darker gray, black area with the commons, the art section, and then the administration center. So now, how long you say, Wes? Is this gonna take? Well, we've been working on it for 5 years, trying to tear a building down and build it in place at the same time. It causes amazingly resilient. It's just part of the deal. They get it. The adults are the ones who have the struggle. So this is the current site. I took these, I think, last week. But you'll start to see, you know, here's where we're at. We're in phase 3. It's our final phase. All that old 1969 building has been removed. Starting this spring or this summer, they've actually put in the foundation, and you're starting to see things come out of the ground. So the structure is beginning to be built before winter, and a roof will be put on it before winter comes. That's the goal. Then once that's done, they'll do the interior work inside, and what we're hoping, I've been doing this long enough to see that they say, when I say they, our general contractor and architect says, oh, it'll be done by August, September. That really means November, December. So I'm not gonna wager anything on this. I just know how it goes. But once it's done, we will have a wonderful grand opening where the public and the community can come and see the amazing facility. I would say that Clinton, across the district, has outstanding facilities, and this will be the final piece to that, you know, from our elementary schools to our middle schools, now to our high school and our athletic facilities, our activities. It's been amazing, you know. So that's in a nutshell where we're at with high school. Before I move on, does anybody have any questions about high school? I'll be happy to do my best to answer what I know. No questions? You guys are like tired of this too. It's like, all right, Wes, here we go. Yes, ma'am. Well,
Roughly.
Well, I don't know. I can tell you what I think it is, but that's going to change 53 times between now and October 1st. So October 1st is our count date. That is the date in which we have to actually count every single student in our school, and then we turn that in state, and that's how we get funded. But I'm going to say I'm keeping my fingers crossed. but I don't know. I mean, I could tell you what I know it is right now, but it's going to change. And I don't want to give anybody false hope, if you catch my drift.
Is the enrollment going down? Or is
Not
it
what I'm seeing.
going up?
Maybe. I'm not committing
Are you
myself
in
to anything.
politics?
Yeah, I'm never going to do that. We'll see. I'm keeping my fingers crossed for good numbers. Last year, I'll tell you what we were last year. We went up 26 students. 26.8 to be specific. How do you get a 0.8 of a student? Well, it's through special education and things like that. Certain kids are counted for a multiplying factor, but we were the only district last year in the area that went up. That's to include Pleasant Valley, North Scott, Bettendorf. We went up, and they had not. It's the first time, like ever. So I can tell you, last year we were 26 students. It's day one. What else? On anything on construction? No? Okay. I'm doing that good of a job? So most people want to know about budget. So right now, 90% of what we believe is 90%, about 90% of the project is complete. While it looks like there's a lot that still needs to be done, when you look at the actual physical space that's utilized, our academic wing, our theater, the industrial arts, industrial tech, and our performing arts, they're there. So now we're just finishing up. We have about 19% of our contingency still available. I will tell you that because of us coming out of the ground, and you never know what's in the ground, there's probably going to be some of that money that's going to go away after that one. But this is where we're at. We're still within budget. Okay, and that's something that the board has been very, very, very mindful of, to be good stewards. And so there's been a lot of hard conversations with contractors. There's been a lot of hard conversations with architects. So I applaud the board for their commitment to it. Now, this is as of August 6th. These are the last numbers we ran. So any questions on the budget? All right. So I don't know why that went goofy. But if you look at the graph, one thing I want to be very mindful of and share with you that's very important to me, but it's also very, very important to the board, is our tax rate. And there's been a little hubbub and a little hullabaloo recently about this, but I want you to know that's really critical for the board and myself and Cindy Mackler, our CFO, is to be very, very, very mindful of what we ask of our constituents and what they pay for taxes. You'll notice that the tax rate has gone down since 2000. Well, there's a bump there, but since really in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, the tax rate continues to drop on our behalf. I'll tell you, we'll get to a maximum capacity at some point, but whatever that is, we haven't quite got there yet. But it's very critical for our public to understand that it's important for us to be good stewards of taxpayer money. You don't get to ask questions.
So you see that bump is in 2020. That's when we voted for the
High school
to come in.
Yep.
That bump is where we expected the tax rate to be.
Yep.
We moved it up to that rate and thought it would stay there throughout the completion of the school. But we've lowered the tax rate throughout the construction project. I think that's a credit to the people that are running it.
Yeah. So while some might say otherwise, I think school boards and superintendents and CFOs and school districts are very mindful, and they try really, really hard to understand what's going on. If you ever have questions about how school finance in Iowa and how it works, because while it's complex, it's really still pretty simple. We only have certain numbers that we can, when you look at a spreadsheet on the state or their means that we're talking about school finance, school boards have but about 3 lines that they can actually impact. That's it. Everything else is directed to us. So, and a lot of it depends on the community's property valuation and so many other things that go into what those numbers look like. But I would be happy to answer any questions that folks might have when it comes to school finance and school funding, because it's complex. But it's not as crazy as you might think. And I do believe, and I can speak for the Clinton Community School District Board and our leadership, is that we're committed to continuing to do the best we can and be stewards of taxpayer money. So any questions on school? I mean, I'll do my best to answer your questions, but somebody calling in a question. So why do I bring up school finance? Sorry.
Just any other way you get money. I was thinking there was additional sales tax or income tax or something.
Sure, but those are set, and I'm going to get to one here in a second. So generally speaking, what boards can vote on, just the general levy. And how the general levy works is that each student gets a certain amount of money from the state. And how that bucket is filled is some by the state and some by the local community. And it's based on property valuation. And I have these conversations with people all the time. For example, in North Scott, they have very high property values. So when you look at it, and I'm not trying to oversimplify, but 10% of $1 billion is still less than 3% of $10 billion. You follow me? And that's what people don't understand. It's property poor communities, which is the vast majority of the state of Iowa, are going to have higher taxes to get the same amount of money as a community with high property valuations. Does that make sense? If it's not, it's like, this is why it gets kind of confusing and say, well, look at what PV and North Scott have versus Comanche, Clinton, and so on. Well, it has to do with property values. So they can vote on that general levy, and that general levy basically gets us that bucket full based on your property value. So they have to set a number that gets that money, right? So even though you can only spend so much money, okay, they give us a rate. They basically say, I'm making this simple. We have 1,000 students. We have way more than 1,000 students. But if you get $1,700, you take $1,700 times 1,000. That's your credit card limit. So if you levy more than that, you still can't spend it. And there are unique circumstances where that happens. We're not in that boat, though. So that's one that the board has. They can vote on management fund. Now, what can we use management fund for? But only a few things. It helps us pay our insurance. I will tell you that you all know insurance is health. Those, now we don't pay health insurance out of that management fund, but property insurance, liability insurance, that comes out of the management fund. And then third is really your income surtax, which you saw on the maybe on your half sheet of paper that came to you in your property taxes. Now, why would a school board do that? If you live in a town where a lot of people rent property, they're not paying property taxes. So how can you at least get a little bit of income from those folks who live in your community and send students to your schools is through that property. But you say, well, Wes, I have property and I'm paying the surtax. It's you try to balance, right? You'll see some school districts have a surtax of 10%, some have 0%, but most try to stay somewhere in a sweet spot so it's not crushing people. And that's really about it. Now, you certainly can vote on other things, but a lot of those other bond they come to you as the citizenry to vote on bond referendums. It comes to the constituents to say, are we okay with it? To that point, there's this thing called, and somebody, and I can't remember, somebody here asked me about the physical plant equipment levy. It's often called PEPL. So the PEPL expires, our PEPL expires June 30th, 2027. You say, well, Wes, that's like almost 2 years from now. Yep. But if we don't get on this now, it could be challenging for us down the road. So the vote, there's two PEPLs. There's one voted on by school boards, and there's one voted on by the constituents. Obviously, when constituents approve it, you can levy more money. So right now, for a voted PEPL, the Iowa law allows us to levy up to $1.34. Clinton, right now, our current voted PEPL is 75 cents. So part of that tax rate that I showed you before, this is included in that $15. Okay, this is already in there. We can only use that money for certain things, like building repairs. Roofs cost a lot. Cement costs a lot. We use this money to fund our computers. Every student has a computer. Why not? Because we're living in the 21st century, and it's part of what we do. Preparing our students for the future is having every student have a computer. It pays for equipment like our building and grounds, a lawnmower, a vehicle. It pays for our buses. How much do you think a bus costs now? Anybody? Bueller? Joe? 110,000. I would have said that 3 years ago.
200.
Close. It's this year is about $157,000 for one bus. You know how many buses we have? About 28. We got some that are struggling, but you try to put in a plan to replace those, but that's where that funding comes, is for that bus. We try to buy, if we buy 2 of them a year, we're talking almost 1/3 of our whole PEPL funding for a year. We get about $1 million. You say that seems like a lot of money, but a roof is $200,000. A bus is $158,000, and they're only going up. 3 years ago, a bus, Joe, you're right, would have been about 110, but because of I'm not going to get too political here, but if you think about our current world and what's going on, those have skyrocketed. I mean, a $40,000 to $50,000 increase in 3 years. That's a third. It's increased over 1/3 of its price. So we're putting this to board approved, that this goes to the general election vote in November, asking the community to maintain the 75 cent. We're not asking for more. While they could ask for $1.34, they're asking to maintain what we currently have. And that's in hopes that buses don't go up to $200,000. Because if they do, I mean, it's crazy. So we're just hoping to maintain so that we can keep roofs without leaks and have buses that don't fall apart through rusting, and we have cement that doesn't have cracks that people trip on, and keep people safe, and a computer in every student's hands. If you ever have any questions, yes, sir. Yes, a voted levy in Iowa is for 10 years. So if we pass this, if this gets passed in November, it will then renew July 1st of 2027 for another 10 years.
You already say, why are you not asking for more?
Because we're trying to maintain. We're not, I get told all the time, we ask for too much. We want more. And right now we're just trying to keep things going. Could we, and maybe in 10 years, they might ask for more, because in 10 years, a bus probably will be over $200,000. So,
and I would add that the consensus on the board is to be sensitive to everybody is feeling a little bit of a pinch, or some are feeling way more than a little bit, but because of that, we didn't want to be excessive. Although we might be able to stock the coffers a little bit, it was more important to make sure that we presented a responsible front to say that just gonna take what we need. We're not gonna fill the silos just in case.
Yeah.
Because we believe that the working families can't do that.
Yeah.
Or don't want, definitely don't want to. So we just wanna get what's necessary.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
When was the 75% that's now in effect passed? Was it, what, a few
Yeah.
years ago?
This would have been 2017.
I remember that passed with a very healthy
Mhm.
majority.
Yeah.
What was it before 75 cents? Did it go up?
I think it did go up. I have to confirm that, but I think it went up to 75. I think it was lower than that.
20 cents.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't,
Something in that neighborhood.
it didn't get double, tripled, or quadrupled. It, yeah, I think you're right, but
And I
it did
think the
go.
idea is if we're responsible now and it doesn't have to ask for more money, people will know that we're not just asking because we can ask.
Yeah.
Right, we're trying to be.
Exactly.
Can the rate vary? You've been doing it for 10 years.
That's for 10 years.
You can adjust the rate if you go in that 10 years or not.
No. So where the flexibility can come in is the board also has a board approved capital, which is good for 5 years. And they can go up to 33 or 34 cents. And so they can make some adjustments in that regard. You can also every year, you could change your surtax if you wanted. So there's ways to kind of work through any challenges that might come along over the years. This is just one, I think, what the board and Andy, thank you for sharing. It's committing to the public that we're being good stewards of taxpayer money and that we're not flippantly or unreasonably going to do something different. This is hard stuff, and people try to do the best they can. Mr. Fry, I think I saw you had your hand up.
Just a comment. Many years ago, when I was chair of the Chamber of Commerce, we were considering something that we were going to be doing for Clinton. And I said, that's not bad for Clinton, Iowa. Steve Horman, who was our executive director, I said, John, I'm getting real tired of hearing that's not bad for Clinton, Iowa. Why aren't we as good as anybody else? And I thought about that, and I said, Steve, you're right. We shouldn't have aspirations that are below what our aspirations should be. Iowa City West, I saw in the paper the other day, rated as the best high school in the state of Iowa. Of course, they have a pretty good property tax.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
But we have scrimped on teachers' salaries. I mean, teachers are the poorest paid professionals in our country. And we need to, as a citizen, wake up and spend the money, in my view, that we should spend to make sure teachers are well paid and that we have the best we can afford for education in this country.
Yes, sir.
So
I agree.
If you don't get it, what happens? You go next year and you go again, right?
Yeah, that's why we're starting about a year and a half early on this, is because of.
I mean, is it sensible to say we're gonna stick with 75 cents when everybody knows the cost of things like school buses and automobiles and everything else have gone crazy? Well, if you're gonna spend it on something, rather than spending it on cable TV, why not spend it on your public education? And if there's a better place to put it, where is it?
Yeah, I think the challenge for the board and us as leaders is finding that sweet spot that we can get it passed. Because if you don't get it passed, that's $1 million you don't get. And now you're not going to buy a bus at all. And now that bus is now 18 years old instead of 10 years old. And so I'm speaking for what I hear, because most people don't come to me with attaboys. Most people are coming at me, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? You're hurting us. So I think what the board and I hear is what's the sweet spot? What's this, Mr. Foster?
At one time, I was considering about putting a roof over the buses.
Mhm.
Where that thought should consider. to do that so your buses can.
Yeah, we've talked about that. There's all kinds of visions forward as do we chip seal the parking lot out there? That might help instead of it being gravel, putting a roof over it or an awning, if you will, so buses could park under it to get them out of the elements. That's certainly something we've discussed. We have all kinds of plans. You gotta have the money to do it. And when I say this, and I don't mean it flippantly, because I wish, we had that funding that like North Scott has. They literally have a campus across the entire city of Eldridge. And they just have, because they have the property valuation that they can just really levy lower taxes and get more money. It's a challenge. So it's on our list. It's absolutely on our list. Mr. Severite?
Wes, last time this was on the ballot, there was this task force.
Mhm.
Or something, not you, was organized to sell it to the community.
Yeah, well, thank you. That was a wonderful transition. So what can you do?
Are you gonna do that?
You're
again?
like reading my mind. Share the message. What can you do? Because that's often what folks say, hey, what can we do for you? And I really appreciate that when people do that. Share the message. Encourage the community to maintain support. And yeah, community service. What does the message need to sound like? Who do we need to go to? In late September, beginning of October, I wanted to get the school started before I started like telling everybody, you need to be on another committee, Mr. Severite. But getting folks involved so that the message gets sent out to the right people the right way. So you bet. If you're interested, please let me know. You're our community leaders, and I value your input, and I appreciate any and all support that you provide the Clinton Community School Districts, because we cannot educate our students for their future without you. So it's like we planned that transition. Mr. Severite, it's like you knew where I was headed with this. So any other questions? Yes, sir.
So with the new school and all that for HVAC and all the things that we're doing in the old school, are you looking at some type of a reprieve on some of those expenses that might help some of that?
We're hoping in just utilities alone, we'll save huge on just for the new high school. The old high school is just, there's some challenges there environmentally with just the age of the school and its systems, but we're hoping to see a change to just the utilities for just the high school. Andy, you were going to.
I was just gonna add that, we kind of look at, this isn't us scrimping or trying to be too conservative. We think we can do it.
Mhm.
And so this is the responsible number that we think we can, with the plans that we have in place and the savings that we have relatively new buildings across the district. The expectation is that these numbers will get us 10 years.
Yeah, but the money's used. I mean, even so Jefferson, the middle school, and Eagle Heights are geothermal. Sounds wonderful, right? But some of those, they have like 30, 40 pumps in there, and those pumps die regularly, and to move the fluids through the geothermal system. So even though things mechanically they break, so yeah, it's all there. Every day you kind of
But the
scratch your head
hope
and
is
say,
with the newer building, they break less.
yeah, well, that's the hope.
Because the old high school,
Oh man,
everything was breaking, and you had the machine parts, like,
oh
they
man,
didn't even make the parts.
we had to buy some stuff off of eBay. Seriously,
Honestly, they didn't even make the pieces for the machines that we had.
for our circuit breaker board at the high school, we had to literally buy things off of eBay. Because they just weren't made.
During that 10 and ask for an increase, or are you stuck during the 10?
That 10 years locks you in for that 10 years. But like I said before, what you can do is adjust the board voted PEPL, because they have one too that they can vote on. It's a lower rate, but they can adjust that. You can adjust the income surtax. You could adjust the levy rate. But those are really, you can't really, the management fund isn't going to help us on things like buses. there's only certain funds can only go to certain things, and management fund money can only go towards management fund things.
They can't go to the teacher.
You cannot go to a teacher for their salary. So we have to live within the confines of the rules. So we could adjust some things if needed, if that levy rate doesn't hold up for 10 years, or we need more, we need to adjust something, you can adjust. Yes, sir.
It seems that the 1% sales tax levy has been helpful.
Absolutely.
Building facilities.
Yep.
Pretty much all across the state.
Absolutely.
And Clinton's in a pretty good spot right now,
Yeah.
as are most communities. Do you think there'll be any interest from the legislature in allowing expenditures from that fund to go to additional plant infrastructure, other things that aren't covered?
I just saw Tom give a thumbs down, so yeah, I can't speak for the legislature. They make our rules and we follow them. Yes, ma'am.
I'm referring right now to your PowerPoint number 2 to encourage the community to maintain support. I truly feel that that is so important to get your students who have just recently graduated or graduates for 10 years and you would hope somebody get in there and really maintain this support. I think that's going to be really your strength to get the word out. I don't know how you're going to do it, but I think you really need to get this. We all feel this right now, that school is so important, so critical. I mean, you project the future of our country through the education of our students, and I really support Clinton High School. I'm 61 graduate, and I had excellent, just excellent all through school. I graduated Hawthorne, started at Hawthorne, went to Washington Junior, and then on to Clinton High. And I can speak nothing of my heart, personal experiences of having great teachers. Clinton has produced great teachers, and please recognize them too.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
How do you do how's it getting teachers right now? Are you still opening? How did that go?
Actually, this year, I would say a shortage, but not as bad as it was before. This year we had an orchestra opening, we had an opening, we had a choir opening, and those tend to be a little bit more challenging to find. We found them all. We still have a Spanish teacher opening at the high school. We've had that opening for years. Luckily, we have a native Spanish speaking substitute in there that helps them. You do the best you can. We have a few, when I say a few, just less than a handful of maybe some special ed openings. But other than that, we're doing pretty good. It seems like we're headed as a collective profession in a better direction for teachers. And that's a lot of hard work. That's from the governor, the legislature, to colleges and universities. There's been some really unique and alternative pathways for folks to become teachers, and we've used them all. We have used them all. We have a program that the state has approved, but it's para-educators to teacher programs. We're going to have probably 3 or 4 of them graduate in December and become special ed teachers in that regard. We've got alternative pathways to people who've been in a profession for a really long time, and they might have, let's say they were a mechanic and we needed an autos teacher. And if they've got 30,000 hours of professional experience as an auto mechanic, we can hire them as a teacher. Now they have to go back and take some classes on like teaching pedagogy and things like that, but they can get their license. So there's been a lot of really creative ways to get folks into teaching and get them the proper license that they need to do their work. So we've used them all. We have used them all. So I feel like we're in a better place. There's still a little bit of a shortage, but not like it was probably 3 or 4 years ago. Great question. Anything else? Thank you so much for your time. If I could be a part, please.
I don't have access.
Oh gosh. Well, Wes, as you know, we donate a book to the library in your name, and our books are over visiting that funeral luncheon. So we'll take care of that in 2 weeks. Well, everybody, I hope everybody has a great start to their school year. I want to thank Gary Foster for invocation, Mary for a greeting, Rich for a fellowship, and Wes for your program. And with that, unite for good.
Tuesday.
Okay. I should know.
You're welcome.